Hello everyone, my name is Abhiram and today I'll be going over the introduction to data engineering and I'll be going over the data engineering and also the data engineering life cycle. So let's talk about data engineering. Data engineering is still a relatively new concept in programming because in the backend programming, because initially there was the data and the software engineers tend to do everything. But as you know, as the technology advance, there's also like a lots of data that's being created and also it's being stored. And not only that, so much data is being collected, and not just like the SQL and the structured data, but also like data from multimedia files and sensors and IoT and so on. For in order to store this data and also understand this data, it is overwhelming for software engineers and also for data scientists, analysts, and other professionals alike. In order to solve this issue, what happened is that the data engineer was born, and with what the data engineer does is that he or she basically takes all this collects all this different forms of data. He ingests it and they transform it in a way that is understandable for machine learning scientists, data scientists, shareholders, stakeholders, and many more individuals. So that is how the data engineering started. It's all about like taking the raw and unformatted data, format it and clean it, and then serve it to other employees, including data scientists, analysts, and so on. So as I mentioned previously, that there are like two parts of it. So initially here we, as you can see, we have the databases. The data can be collected. The raw data can be collected from the databases. It can be both SQL databases and NoSQL databases. It can be collected from application APIs. It can also be done through S3 or like storage buckets from the cloud. And there are many other sources, including IoT and so on. So now this is a lot of data, and this data should be collected into the data engineering pipeline. So this right here, this box right here, this is the data engineering pipeline, and basically includes like three different steps. Which first is like ingesting. Ingesting itself. Ingesting is pretty much taking this raw data and extracting it. So that is what happens in ingestion. And then after ingestion it goes into transformation. In transformation, what happens is that the data engineering team transforms the data in a way that's by removing any anomalies or any like raw badly formatted data, and they format it in a way that is understandable for the business use cases and so on. And finally, it's also not only that, within the transformation and ingestion phase, it's also about the collecting data, whether it's like real time data, or like which needs to be done as soon as possible, or we can also do batch data where we can only need the data for like once a week or every Monday or with fixed intervals and so on. And finally, there's also the serving aspect of the data engineering pipeline, where the data is pretty much given to like the machine learning engineers, data scientists, and other professionals based on their demands and needs. So the in the left portion right here, this data is there are like two other than the data engineering, there are actually two different groups of people and individuals in a data in a data engineering pipeline. And both are called stakeholders. So here we have like the towards the left is called the upstream stakeholders, and upstream stakeholders is just mostly like the software engineering team and the software development team who create the applications and who actually create the databases and manage the databases and so on. And on the other hand, after the pipeline, we have the downstream stakeholders. And downstream stakeholders, as I mentioned previously, it can be the ML team, the BI team, the analytics team, and so on. So these downstream stakeholders basically take the extract the data from the data engineering pipeline for the respective tasks and use cases as well. So and between these two teams of stakeholders is where the data engineer does, and rather than giving the access to downstream stakeholders, which can be problematic, data engineer creates a pipeline that in a way so it can be beneficial for downstream stakeholders without ruining the security or breaking the database from the upstream stakeholders. And while we before we even like build a database or like a data pipeline, it's very important to understand what the business use cases are and what the stakeholders need, and whether if they need what they need and what they want. And sometimes a stakeholder might say that they want like a near real time data for the job, but in reality it might not be the case. It might not be the case. So we can create like a batch interval and so on. So this is where the data engineering comes into place. And finally, data engineering is not only about building the pipeline. Data engineering also includes like other undercurrents and other factors, which includes the security, which means to make sure the data that's being ingested is being secure data management. I think likewise, where we have to make sure the data is really good, and the data is like informative in a way that is helpful for like the downstream stakeholders. And finally, the data architecture, where we design a really flexible data engineering pipeline that anybody that can be changed regularly based on the business use cases. And finally, there's also the data ops. And with the data ops is it's a mixture of data engineering plus also DevOps principles, rather than doing and with data we can automate the data engineering pipeline with minimal human or like the individual intervention, which can reduce a lot of errors. And finally, data engineering includes a lot of a data engineer should understand the business logic and business logic, SQL, along with software principles, including Python or Java and any other programming language that is used by the team, because they need to build a pipeline that takes raw data and also make necessary changes. So this is a little bit about the data engineering, a little bit introduction of the data engineering and the data engineering lifecycle, where all this data is being extracted, not extracted but like ingested into a pipeline, and it's transformed and using data modeling based on the use cases of the different stakeholders, and then in the end it's being provided or served to them. Thank you very much.